Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into sources that give us, well, a pretty unparalleled look behind the public persona of Duane "Dog" Chapman. This is a really personal narrative, a lot of it drawn straight from his own words. Our mission here is to kind of get past the hair in the leather vest.
Right.
And explore the philosophical, the legal, and the just intensely personal struggles that have really defined his life.
That's right. And we're not just like summarizing a celebrity book here. We're pulling out insights about someone who's dealt with these incredibly high stakes arrests, major family betrayals, and frankly, deep financial collapse.
Yeah, and the central paradox is just striking. Here's a guy who built this huge career, multi-million-dollar career, on giving second chances to other people.
The whole brand.
Yet his own life has been this constant, decades-long battle against the fallout from his own past. It's this real tension between wanting forgiveness and facing serious consequences.
And to really get that tension, you have to go right back to the beginning. I mean, the foundation. His time in Huntsville prison back in the 70s.
You okay?
He served 18 months, part of a 5-year sentence for what the source calls a bunk murder one rap.
Okay, wait, let's unpack that a bit for the listener. Bunk murder one rap. What exactly does that mean in this context?
Right, so bunk meaning like false, or at least not the full picture. The sources do clarify later that the victim, Jerry Lee Oliver, wasn't actually killed by Dog.
Oh, okay.
But Dog was there when the shot was fired, so he got convicted as an accessory.
Gotcha. And that time inside wasn't just punishment, it sounds like it was. Profoundly formative.
Yeah.
Especially around race issues inside the prison.
Absolutely formative. He talks about when the order came down to integrate Huntsville, the prisoners were just frozen. Nobody wanted to be the first one to move, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine.
And Dog writes that he was the first white prisoner to actually cross that segregation line.
Wow.
And that directly led to his friendship with his black cellmate, Whitaker. They got this nickname, Salt and Pepper. That whole experience, surviving together, facing consequences, it really cemented his core beliefs.
And you can see how that translates directly into his whole bounty hunter philosophy, right? He argues fugitives aren't really running from him.
Right.
They're running from their own choices, their consequences. He sees his job less as punishment and more like a necessary check and balance in the system.
Exactly. And it's practical, too. Bounty hunters are on the hook financially if someone skips bail. The cost of tracking them down, bringing them back, that falls on the bondsman, not the public purse. What's really fascinating, though, is how these core beliefs, formed way back then, evolved into some pretty concrete proposals for criminal justice reform later on, even though he's kind of anti-establishment in many ways.
Yeah, this is where his ideas get, well, pretty radical, like mandatory counseling and mentorship for parolees.
Yeah, he mentions his own positive experiences with people like Tony Robbins and says, look, this kind of post-prison support shouldn't be optional. It should be required.
Interesting.
And then there's the whole financial deterrent idea for nonviolent repeat offenders. He basically says instead of spending, maybe $200 a day to keep a car thief locked up for years.
Which costs taxpayers a fortune.
Right. Give him a stark choice, a really painful choice.
Hit him where it hurts the wallet. So for a first-time car theft, his idea is like a massive fine, say $5,000 or 5 years in prison.
Exactly. His take is that for certain crimes, that direct financial hit is actually a stronger deterrent than jail time, and it saves public money.
Okay, that's a definite viewpoint.
But here's where it gets really interesting. That tension between his own history and his reform ideas. His proposal for dealing with white-collar criminals. He actually names Bernard Madoff.
Madoff, the guy who ran the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. What's the proposal there? We're talking about using the skills of people who stole billions.
Get this. He argues that these brilliant, incarcerated financial criminals, they should be put to work for the government.
Seriously?
Day and night, he says. At zero cost, their job, to pick apart the financial system and find the exact loopholes and weaknesses they exploited.
Wow. So the guy who often seems wary of government is proposing a very specific, kind of radical government policy based on his unique view of utilizing skills, even criminal ones.
Precisely. Don't just let that brain power sit idle and be a drain, he thinks. Tap into it. It's quite a perspective.
Okay, so from developing this whole philosophy of justice and consequences, let's shift gears to when that philosophy really got stress tested. I mean, the crises that almost wiped them out completely.
Yeah, the first massive threat was that Andrew Luster capture down in Mexico back in 2003. Luster was on the FBI's most wanted list.
Right, a huge fugitive.
Dog, his son Leland, and Tim Chapman, they successfully captured him, but bam, they were immediately arrested and charged by the Mexican authorities.
And this wasn't minor. First, it was kidnapping charges. Then it got slightly reduced to deprivation of liberty. But this wasn't just some legal tangle.
No, not at all.
This kicked off a years-long extradition fight. He was looking at 4 years hard time in a Mexican prison with absolutely zero credit for time served. That's potentially life-destroying.
Total nightmare scenario. And the source details how he started getting uneasy about his first legal team, this guy Bullard. Apparently his wife Beth had bad instincts about their strategy, their payment demands.
So Beth flagged it.
Yeah, her gut feeling pushed them to make a change.
And the big shift was bringing in new lawyers.
New counsel, James Quadra, who crucially spoke fluent Spanish. Quadra dug into the case and pivoted the entire defense strategy. He pushed what turned out to be the winning card, the statute of limitations argument under Mexican law.
Ah, a legal technicality, basically?
But a vital one. That strategic move saved them. The Mexican charges eventually got dropped because the time limit had passed. And once Mexico dropped it, the U.S. had to dismiss the extradition request.
Right.
This was late 2007.
So he got his freedom back, but through legal maneuvering, not necessarily a declaration of innocence on the Mexican charges themselves. It shows that persistence, smart strategy. That's often how the justice system works.
Exactly. It's not always about pure moral victory. Sometimes it's about navigating the rules effectively.
Okay, but man, he barely had time to breathe after the Mexico ordeal before the next crisis exploded. And this one was maybe even more damaging personally. The N-word tape incident, October 2007.
Yeah, and the source of it, just devastating. It came from inside his own family.
Unbelievable.
It was his son, Tucker, who recorded a private phone call like 25 minutes long, reportedly sold it to the National Enquirer. The motive, possibly money, maybe tied to some dispute over a truck loan.
Just, wow. And the fallout was instant, right? Yeah. Catastrophic. Now, we need to be careful here. Just report his side of it impartially. His explanation for using that word.
Right. So his framing, as presented in the source, was that the word came from his Huntsville days. He saw it not as racial, but as a kind of slang term of endearment or culture almost. He believed it signified someone who'd been through hell, basically. Gone through a lot of controversy, endured a lot of troubles, and survived. He genuinely seemed to think he had earned some kind of pass to use it in certain contexts.
That is certainly how he framed his personal understanding of it. But clearly, the public reaction, the professional consequences, they showed that whatever pass he felt he had didn't really translate to the outside world, especially in the media spotlight.
Not even close. The backlash was immediate and huge.
What's really striking, though, is how he handled the media storm.
Yeah.
He apparently rejected all the standard PR advice, the spin doctor stuff.
Yeah, they told him, deny it's your voice, say you were drunk, check into fake rehab, maybe even claim some distant African-American ancestry to excuse it.
Standard playbook, unfortunately.
Right. But he refused all of it, chose to just own up, as he put it, say, yeah, that was me, I said it.
Okay, so owning it, what then?
Then came a serious apology tour. He reached out to Reverend Al Sharpton's daughter, and importantly, he met with Roy Innis from CORE, the Congress of Racial Equality.
And what came of that meeting?
After hearing Dog's side, his context, Innis actually went public saying the whole controversy had unjustly spiraled out of control without context. That was a significant endorsement.
And that whole effort, the owning up, the apologies, the meetings, it eventually led to his show coming back.
It did. February 20th, 2008, A&E brought Dog the Bounty Hunter back on the air. And the executives apparently told him directly, their reasoning was, since your show is predicated on second chances, we decided to give you one too.
Wow. Life imitating art, or maybe his brand in that case. The source notes an irony here too, right?
A pretty stark one. On the very day his show returned, Jesse Jackson apparently used the exact same word on a live mic.
Oh, wow.
And received virtually zero public backlash or professional fallout.
Man, that really underscores just how unpredictable public reaction and media outrage can be, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that professional crisis, the show being pulled even temporarily, it had immediate, serious, real-world financial consequences for him, too.
All right, let's get into that, because the pain points just keep piling up. After the N-word tape blew up, his local bank in Hawaii, where he apparently had 13 different accounts, business and personal.
13 accounts.
They just cut off all his credit, just like that. Deemed him a bad credit risk overnight because his show got suspended, even though it came back later.
Instant cutoff. But the really deep financial battle was with the IRS. This was huge, massive tax debt, plus penalties, plus interest, going all the way back to the years 2001 to 2004.
Okay, and what was the basis for that debt? Was it on his actual income or?
That's the kicker. It was based on the IRS's estimated income for his bail bonds business, which is obviously very high profile because of the show, not based on his actual reported personal earnings.
Wait, the IRS estimated his income for a business that visible. That sounds like a major point of dispute. Was he fighting the estimate itself or just trying to manage the debt?
Both, it seems. His lawyers kept trying to negotiate, arguing the income estimate was wrong, trying to set up a payment plan. But the IRS, they were apparently just hardline.
No deal.
No deal for the dog was basically the message they got back, citing his potential ability to earn money because he was famous. He describes himself as ending up Willie Nelson-style broke.
That is some powerful irony. He points out, doesn't he, that other high-profile people, even politicians like Timothy Geithner who had their own tax issues, seem to get deals or payment plans worked out.
Exactly. But for him, the famous bounty hunter, it was relentless pursuit. He felt targeted because of his celebrity, facing huge consequences based on perceived status, not just actual finances.
It's just one blow after another. And amidst all this professional and financial chaos, we can't forget the personal tragedies he was dealing with, too.
No, definitely not. He talks about the absolutely immense grief of losing his daughter, Barbara Katie. Drugs were involved, and then a fatal car accident.
Just devastating. And there's a specific story he recounts about the aftermath, about the driver who caused the accident.
Yes, he got a call from someone who witnessed it, describing how the driver who caused the crash also died, apparently in a pretty horrific way. And Dog says, in that moment, hearing that, he felt mercy for the driver. He realized that holding on to anger wouldn't bring Barbara back, wouldn't heal his own heart any faster.
That's a profound level of forgiveness,
No.
almost immediate.
Radical forgiveness, really. And you can see how for him to keep going, to keep believing in his own message of second chances, maybe that was essential. He also talks about carrying a lot of guilt, feeling his messy relationship with his ex-wife played a part in his kids' struggles.
So if you try to tie all these threads together, the Mexico near disaster, the public shaming over the tape, the financial ruin, these awful personal losses, it all seems to reinforce his central message, doesn't it? That adversity is just constant.
Really does.
And surviving it takes this intense focus, this perseverance he talks about, learning from people like Tony Robbins.
And that focus, that search for meaning through it all, eventually led him to what he describes as this huge aha moment. The moment of self-forgiveness he'd been chasing for, what, decades? Since that original conviction?
Right. This happened much later, during a quiet moment, fishing in the Rockies.
Yeah, slow down here because this is powerful.
Yeah.
He says he was sort of drifting off, half asleep, and had this incredibly vivid emotional dream.
Okay.
And in the dream, Jerry Lee Oliver, the man he was convicted alongside for murdering all those years ago, appeared right in front of him.
Wow. After all that time.
Oliver looked right at him, Dog says, and spoke the words he'd been needing to hear for 35 years. Oliver said, "I know you weren't the trigger man, but you did your time, and I want you to know that I forgive you."
Oh, my goodness.
And then Oliver added, "Now I am asking you to forgive yourself, Dog."
To finally hear that, even in a dream,
Yeah.
that must have felt like release,
Yeah.
the ultimate permission to let go of that decades-old burden.
Exactly. The emotional freedom he'd been seeking, maybe subconsciously since he was that young man in Huntsville. It's the peak of redemption in his personal story.
And there's a but, isn't there? Despite the fame, the money he eventually made back, the TV show's return, even that profound sense of self-forgiveness, the legal reality hasn't entirely caught up.
That's the final crucial piece of this deep dive, right? The system still sees him legally as a felon.
That original conviction still casts a long shadow. The sources say he still needs to get special permission from the government every single time he wants to travel outside the U.S.
Still needs permission. And maybe the biggest irony of all for Dog the Bounty Hunter, a man whose job involves danger and confrontation.
Yeah.
He's actually banned from wearing body armor in certain states because he has that felony record.
No way. Banned from wearing a bulletproof vest because of something that happened in the 70s.
That's what the source indicates. So despite all the public success, all the talk of second chances he's both giving and received, that core legal status, it sticks.
Which leaves us with a pretty important question for you, the listener, to think about. In a society that talks so much about second chances, about redemption, when does the system, when do we actually consider someone truly free? When is that debt finally paid in full?
Something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the complex world of Duane Dog Chapman.